please welcome to the stage the founder of ShopPad, Aaron Wadler.
Yeah. Baby, don't make me spell it out for you. All of the feelings that I got for you.
Alrighty. Hey everyone, good afternoon. How y'all doing out there? Great. Okay, this part of the room's doing really great. This part kind of quiet, whatever. That's fine. Hi everyone, I'm Aaron Wadler, and I am the CEO and one of the founders of ShopPad, based out of Oakland, California. And for those of you that don't know, ShopPad is a long-time app developer and Plus partner. So what do I mean when I say long time? Well, this is what the App Store looked like when we first got started on Shopify. So since the early days, we've built our entire business around supporting Shopify merchants. At this point, we have a dozen different applications used by over 150,000 merchants, and we also work hands-on with high-volume brands. I guess you might think that things are going pretty well, but here's the thing, that hasn't always been the case. So before I get too far into my story here, I want to kind of get a sense of who's in the audience today. So if you are an app developer that's working on your app but haven't launched it quite yet, could you raise your hands? Okay, great. A lot of stuff for you guys today. Put them down. How about app developers that have an app in the App Store? Could you raise your hands? Ooh, a lot of you. Cool. And leave them up if you have more than one app in the App Store. Fantastic. Okay. So as I've mentioned, we've been Plus partners for nearly 8 years now. Or, well, Shopify partners for nearly 8 years now. And along that time, we've learned a lot of lessons. Many of them we've learned the hard way, not because we're masochists, but for a lot of our time on the platform, Shopify's been this new frontier, and I've been a dumb pioneer, mostly making it up as I went along. But what I lacked in foresight, my team and I made up for by being quick learners. So for those of you that raised your hands a minute ago, this talk is for you. The plan today is to open up the kimono, share the adversity that we've come across, what we've learned from it, and how it's made us a better organization, so you can bypass some of the struggles and go back to making awesome things for merchants on the platform. And I'm going to do this by grouping my lessons in 3 categories today: building, distributing, and running your application. All right. So I think a good place for us to start with is ideation. Whether you're going to build one application or a whole suite of apps, one of the first questions inevitably becomes, how do I come up with an idea for what to build? Truth is, we don't think up ideas. We see them. So what does that mean? Well, let me give you an example. When we started our first application, Phablet, the iPad was just a rumor, and the percentage of mobile traffic going to e-com sites was in the low single-digit percentages. What my co-founder Ryan and I did is we envisioned a world where mobile devices were as ubiquitous as desktops and laptops were, and then we said, okay, if this vision becomes a reality, who's going to be most impacted? Paul Graham calls this living in the future and then building what's missing. And it basically describes our entire idea factory for everything that we've built since. Let me give you another example that's especially relevant today. And this is when the founder of Snow Devil set out to build and sell his snowboards online and became dissatisfied by how difficult it was to do. His observation that a new breed of entrepreneur would begin turning to the web like never before, and you need a unique set of tools without a large IT team, became the basis for Shopify. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is that inspiration and ideas, they don't come from divine inspiration. It's sort of more like an external stimulus hitting a primed mind. The process of ideation isn't so much about seeking out an idea, but rather noticing when one comes to you. And one of the best ways that we've been able to do this is by developing a deep understanding of our customer. So the guys at Bold Commerce, they started out just like Toby, selling their products online. And if you can come from a place where you are your own customer, well, then that's a really great way to build your business. But for me, I didn't come from an e-com background. So I had to learn how to build with my customer in mind. In the early days, we would arrange calls or go visit merchants if they were local, just to learn about their business. In those days, I think that merchants gave us the benefit of the doubt by assuming our overly basic questions were some sort of savvy market analysis. They weren't. We were asking dumb questions because we were trying to figure out how things worked. We were outsiders, trying to get on the inside, and we were hungry to learn. But through this, we saw our customers' pain points, and the solutions to them began to reveal themselves. Once you get to know a little bit more about your customer, you're going to see that merchants have a lot of stresses on them. It is our job as technologists to create products and solutions that relieve some of this pressure. At Unite 2017, Toby termed this flattening the difficulty curve and creating the path that leads to more entrepreneurs. When we build products, we can't just focus on what they will ultimately do, but we will also need to think about how the merchant will use them. And one of the things that's important about this is it can't be bolted on at the end, but must be imbued into your product development. One of the best ways that we found to do this is by investing in our merchant onboarding and support resources. The dynamic contextual messaging system shown on the monitors here is something that we started experimenting with at the end of last year and is now being rolled out to all of our applications. It allows us to surface in-app messaging to the merchant at the perfect moment based on hundreds of different conditions. Another way that we found to flatten the learning curve is through the hundreds of written docs that our customer success team creates using Help Scout docs. We audit these every quarter, looking for accuracy and consistency and making sure screenshots are up to date and whatnot. Great. So the final thing that you need to think about when it comes to building your application is scalability. Remember that on Shopify, your customers have customers. So it's critical to not only think about your own growth, but the growth of the merchants who are going to use your app. While you probably won't hit hockey stick growth overnight, remember that architecting for scalability begins on day one. So this is the point in the talk where there's sort of like a bad news, good news situation. Bad news is scalability is a really meaty topic. I could probably spend an hour talking to you all on it, but I only have 15 minutes with you today. So good news is that Joe and Adam at Shopify gave a talk on this very topic last year at Unite, and it's called Building Scalable Applications. Go check it out on YouTube. A lot of great takeaways there. All right, so now that you've come up with your app idea, you've built it with the merchant in mind, and you're ready to handle some serious traffic during Q4, the inevitable next question becomes, how do I get merchants to find out about my app? This turns out to be one of the hardest things for new devs selling B2B. In fact, in Silicon Valley, venture capitalists kind of hate it when companies say they're going to go after the SMBs because the customer acquisition costs are so inherently high. However, once again, Shopify has bent the difficulty curve, this time for third-party app partners, and they've done it with their app store. Unlike other app stores, Shopify's is a vibrant, curated, and trusted resource for merchants to find new tools that are going to help them grow and build their business. The App Store and your App Store listing should be the centerpiece of your distribution strategy. So sometimes I have people come up to me and they ask me for App Store optimization tips, as if it's some sort of like dark art that requires a special incantation to unlock. Truth is, you just need to use the fields that Shopify provides. What we've found is that a lot of installs tend to be like impulse buys, kind of like the cash wrap at a supermarket. So it's critical that you make your App Store listing page as attractive and engaging as possible. We do this by obsessing over the copy that we write. We're looking to make sure that what we've written is reflective of the product that the merchant is going to get when they install our application. We want to make sure it's easy to understand and written in a friendly tone. We also spend a lot of time on video, screenshots, and imagery, and making sure they're appealing and engaging. And finally, a 30-day free trial is the magic number that we found leads to the most amount of merchant installs. The slide on the monitor here shows the HubSpot marketing automation track for one of our applications. Because early on, we learned that App Store growth is linear, like ridiculously, predictably, boringly linear, okay? And one of the levers that we've found is that in order to accelerate our growth, we could create multiple applications. Not only does this broaden our surface area, but we can also effectively cross-sell between our applications. And here, the most guarded secret of the Shopify app platform is how do you get Shopify to promote your app? Okay, spoiler alert, there is no secret. Womp womp. It turns out that this is actually one of the things that I love most about Shopify's platform is how egalitarian it is, okay? If you start interesting conversations, you build great things, you make merchants happy, you will be pleasantly surprised by the resources that Shopify can put behind you. I think it's important to point out that we all have a finite amount of hours in the day, so spend those having conversations with merchants, improving the features and the functionality of your app. Don't spend them begging for a new and noteworthy pick or stalking the App Store team for a staff pick. These things don't work. It's really, seriously, honestly, truthfully, just about making great apps for merchants on the platform. So when it comes to the day-to-day operations of your application, I want you to think about it like a garden. You've already tilled the soil and planted the seeds by creating your MVP and getting your first couple merchants. But your garden, it needs to be tended, watered, weeded. It's not like an infomercial. You can't just set it and forget it. So what I suggest is an agile approach where you're planning, iterating, evaluating, and then you repeat the cycle. The launch of your app into the App Store is not the finish line. It's just table stakes. That is to say that we don't consider any of our applications as done, even the ones that we've been working on for nearly a decade. For example, we're continually experimenting with the perfect way to price our applications. We've learned that we should both charge more and less for the apps that we create. If you want to get more Plus merchants, raise the price of your application. For a handful of reasons, enterprise merchants just trust apps that cost more. They value, there's some Plus merchants here, they value reliability and support more than they are sensitive to cost, okay? On the other hand, the penny gap is a real phenomenon on the App Store, okay? So there can be big benefits to having a free tier to your application, especially if you're a new developer or you're launching a new app on the platform. And finally, we found that not all revenue is created equal. One merchant at $30 per month will have, most likely, a better lifetime value than 3 merchants at $10 per month. One thing that we learned really early on was the necessity of supporting our merchants at the same high standard as Shopify does for the platform. So this is a topic you may have heard me speak about before, maybe Shopify SF or Unite 2017, but for those of you that haven't, the gist is this. At ShopPad, we invest heavily in our customer success department. Every new employee starts one of their first weeks working in this department, and even the name is a conscious decision. We don't have customer support, we don't have customer service. What we have is customer success. And the mandate of this department is to make every merchant who contacts them successful, whether it's through phone, email, or chat. And one of the things that we found that matters most to merchant happiness is how quickly we can respond to them when they have a problem. So that's why, after a lot of trial and error, we've developed what we call the top-down, bottom-up solution. We have 2 teams working in parallel. The first team is doing a bottom-up or first-in, first-out approach to our inbox, and this has the advantage of keeping our mean time to response low. The second team is working in a top-down, last-in, first-out approach, and this lets us really wow a large percentage of our merchants by responding to many of them in just a few minutes. So, if I could share one piece of advice with the app developers in this room today, be stop trying so hard to get reviews, okay? Achieving long-term success on the App Store does not come from growth hacking reviews. Sustained, positive reviews come from making merchants happy. Focus on that, and the reviews will follow. Now, that's not to say that I don't think reviews are important. Personally, I love that it's sort of a real-time feed of how merchants are feeling about our business and the products we create. It's kind of like a real-time net promoter score for us. That's why every time that we get a review, positive or negative, it goes to a company-wide Slack channel. An email goes out to the founders and all our department heads. And during office hours, we also ring a big gong that we bought off Amazon. And then once a month, we take all the reviews that we received and we print them out. We put them up on our walls, and it's an inspiring reminder of all the merchants across the world that our work contributes to. So for those of you that know me, I am very, very passionate about Shopify's partner ecosystem. It's the vehicle that has allowed me to create the company of my dreams, staffed by a team that inspires me every single day. It provides financial security for my wife and our 2 cats. It's the ecosystem that's introduced me to lifelong friends. And the work that we do contributes to the success of hundreds of thousands of merchants all across the globe. And with that, the final and most important lesson I have for you today is that to really achieve success on the App Store is you need to engage with the community. Read Shopify's blog, be active on the forums, join Shopify entrepreneurs, Shopify partners, or the Shopify app developers Facebook group. Listen to Steve Hutt and Kurt Elster's podcasts. Sign up to receive our new app newsletter and find out about all the awesome apps that are launching each week. Make partnerships with other agencies. Follow them on Twitter and post on the Shopify subreddit. Join the Slack communities, ask questions, post your ideas, celebrate each other's successes, put your code out there, make open source contributions, and finally, be kind and go out of your way to help everyone in our partner ecosystem. Thank you so much.
I didn't know it was ending right there.
I move like the silent G in the zombie, real talk, something to say. My groove right, I might snatch up